How's it going, everyone? As you can see, I went ahead and upgraded the trigger on my SIG P320, the AXG Pro. This was is the original trigger. It's pretty much solid on the sides there, no skeletonized cuts like the Armory Craft trigger. This one also has no adjustments. I was going to show a video installing it, but there's plenty of good videos out there. I went with the SIG guy. It's usually pretty clear audio, pretty clear video, showing you all the little steps. Now, I didn't add grease just because I don't have any, but I did go ahead and clean everything out, made the proper adjustments. I was concerned if any of you have thought about installing this trigger. When you install it just on the actual pivot of the trigger bar, you'll notice that it kind of wedges itself when you rotate it backwards, even before installing it, and it prevents it from doing the reset, or you have to manually press it to get it to kind of pop out. I thought that was going to be an issue with something on the module, maybe squeezing on the trigger bar or the hinge of the actual trigger. I really thought something here was pressing against the walls, because it felt loose when you took it out. Like if you just had it on the bar, it would pivot, no issues. But once you sat it in, the actual FCU, something seemed to be squeezing it when you rotated past about the 90-degree mark or close to it, and then it would get just tight and you'd have to manually push it front to reset. That turned out not to be an issue because I did go ahead and set both screws for the take-up. Take this out here. And once I did that, it wouldn't pivot all the way back anyway. I went ahead and tightened up on both screws. I wanted to get it just where it actually breaks. The closest I could get, now this is a limitation of the 320 FCU, it just has a springy kind of, to me, spongy feel on the trigger, no matter what springs and things you put in there. I think it's just a design issue. You're not going to get a 1911 style where you hit the wall and at that moment it's going to break. I went ahead and did that with this, and as you can see, it has that little bit of take up, not much, but just enough where it still moves the trigger before breaking. And why didn't I adjust it any farther than that? Because if even the smallest of turns and the trigger won't break, you'll just be pressing it and nothing will ever happen. So I had to back it up like a hair at a time, not even like the slightest of turn, little by little, till I was able to get it to break consistently. And this, at this length, is what pretty much where I was able to get it consistently to break, right there. So it still has a little bit of creep on it, that little play. But of course, once it goes, it doesn't move. Once the actual trigger breaks, right, it doesn't move past that. There's no further movement. And for the reset, pretty much did the same thing. And it's got a long just reset. Not the trigger, just the gun itself. The way the FCU is designed, you really can't help that. I mean, you can, but you can't really eliminate it. And as you can see, if you have a standard trigger, normally right about there is where it kind of kicks your finger out. Because it has a screw in there, it prevents that. So it'll stop right when it breaks. And this is what you'd be getting right there. And if I let go, it's got nowhere else to go. So I set it right at the breaking point where the trigger resets. Right there. Again, same thing. If I tightened it just a little bit more, it won't reset. So I did this a few times to try to get it to make sure it's going to be reliable. And that is as much as I could take out of the trigger. I'm happy with it. It doesn't make the gun, you know, a crazy amount better. It's not like going from an MNP 1.0 trigger with that hinge trigger to an Apex where it's just a night and day difference, but it does make it better. My favorite part of this, one is the look. But the main thing for me is that reset. I hated when it would push my finger to the front and kind of throw me off, because I like target shooting. I like getting bullseye. I like shooting out the bullseyes. You know, nothing like just putting them all in the same hole. And I really couldn't do that as much. Well, I should say as much, but as well with this gun. I am new to shooting it. I've only got a few rounds through it, a few magazines, maybe about 150 rounds total. Not too much, maybe 200. To me, that's not a lot. It's barely getting used to the feel of the gun, much less the trigger. So I do need some more practice with it. I'm hoping to take this out tomorrow. I think that's it for this gun. I think I decided not to put anything on the gun. I like the overall look of it. So I think adding the lights is going to take away from that. It takes away from the look of the slide and all of that. And I love the way it feels. I'm hoping the trigger is really what is going to make the big difference for me. Guns look cool and all, but I get more enjoyment of shooting a comfortable gun. It's obviously even better when you can hit bullseyes all day long. You start feeling like a professional nothing really, just a shooter. But it makes you feel a lot better when you walk away and that target's just all center shots on any target that you hit. And that's what I like to do. I like to enjoy my time shooting. I don't upgrade guns just so that they look cool. That's just a byproduct, which is nothing wrong with that. But I do want to get something out of it. A little bit of looks, but I do want performance. Like on this, I did get the red dot because I wanted more faster follow-up shots, accuracy. And I say accuracy just because with these sights, I mean, they're not exactly really target sights. I might leave them on for, well, I'm going to leave them on for now until I get some pressure height sights. I hate taking off sights and not doing anything with them. So I'll probably end up just selling these. I don't ever really take anything off once I put them on a gun. I usually don't sell guns once I upgrade them and take care of them because they're mine. If I ever do, it's probably something wrong with the gun or something about it I didn't like. So let me know what your thoughts are. How do you like the way this looks? Should I put the factory one back on? The factory one, again, nothing wrong with it at all. It's just something that I wanted to improve on. It just had way too much creep, take up, all of that. So I eliminated pretty much most of that as much as I could with this particular gun style.